Barrett Brooks won a Super Bowl, played with the Philadelphia Eagles, now with NBC Sports Philadelphia's Eagles pre- and post-game show. And one of the things, Barrett, I know as being a former offensive lineman, 80 rushes in the last 2 weeks. You got to be loving it. You got to say, man, when do I get my chance to get out there and lean on some bodies?
That's exactly right, man. You think about that. We're talking about a Doug Peterson-led team, ran the ball more than ever the last 2 games. And what happened the last 2 games? You have 2 victories. You know, it's almost as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. You run the ball, give the illusion of running the ball, and there's a difference between actually running the ball. Just giving an illusion won't help you. But if you go out and work at it, run the rock, eventually it'll add up, and then things will start working in your favor.
Yeah, we saw them go for over 200 yards on 41 carries, and they did it with 3 different guys. Is Doug Peterson kind of understanding that? To me, Barrett, I said this the other day, it reminds me of a lot of the Eagles' offense in the early McNabb years with the 3-headed monster and then McNabb. Just make a couple plays for us. You're a playmaking quarterback. Maybe you're not an elite quarterback, but be a playmaker. Wentz makes a couple plays, and they run the ball with the 3-headed monster. It reminds me a lot of those early McNabb offenses.
Exactly. You know, I think the biggest thing is they're keeping the ball out the opposing quarterback's hands, and that's what we needed to do. Could you imagine if they'd had – and the way it's been working out, the Eagles are controlling the time, and because they're doing that, it's taking away reps from the opposing quarterback. So it's working out perfect for them because, number one, I doubt seriously if you take, the possibly 2 more reps, 2 more sets of offensive plays, and you give them to Rivers, I think that he can potentially win this game. He was hot. He was ready to roll, and we still have some young DBs back there. But the fact that they kept the ball away from him for 6 minutes and 44 seconds in the last quarter is the reason why they won that game. Stops in the run, going out there with their 4-minute offense. 4-minute offense meaning add a couple tight ends in there, maybe an offensive lineman, and run the rock, and to keep the defense on the field as opposed to offense on the field, it really put them in a position to win this game, and that's exactly what they did.
What would you say, Barrett, the offensive identity is now after 4 games? Peterson laughed today. He said, pound and ground. He said, that's what you want to hear, right? No, and then he kind of changed. He said, every week it's different. But is their identity, in your opinion, now as a power running team?
I can't see that. I just think they're taking advantage of their offensive line. They had a really good offensive line. They have been a good offensive line. If they would have ran the ball more in Kansas City, I kind of think it would have worked the same way. I think they could have won that game if they ran the ball consistently. The fact that we didn't have any carries for LeGarrette Blount just blows me away against the Kansas City Chiefs. I really think they could have won that game if he had some touches. So I think they're maturing still. Coaches, maturing as a play caller and as a head coach. And I also think that Carson is maturing. No turnovers. He was throwing the ball, had nice touch on him. Even, the 2 balls that Torrey Smith dropped. I really think that those should have been great catches. And they weren't even hard catches. I think that he should have caught them. So he's learning. The offensive coordinator's learning. And the biggest thing, our head coach is learning more so than the young quarterback.
DB, you were an offensive lineman who played in this league. What's your opinion on the rotation at the left guard position? Can this work, this rotation?
No, I think they're going to leave Wiz in there. Wiz has earned the right to start. Wiz has played great. He's out there with a nasty attitude. He's, going out there and imposing his will on guys. He's nasty. And I like the fact that he's taking control and he's winning the position as opposed to them giving it to him. I think they gave it to Sayamalo just by default. I didn't think that he was ready to play. I did say Chance Warmack, but shoot, at this point, I don't see him being ready to play either. I thought he was going to do a little more, so I must, sit back and eat my words with that. But Wizenhunt, Wiz is ready to go.
You've said in the past, too, that some guys just have trouble shedding that backup label. So has Wisniewski finally shed that backup label and proven to the coaching staff that he's a starter?
I think so. I think he went out there and did a great job of just pounding ground and really blocking guys with an attitude. And that's what you needed. They needed somebody to go out there and take the left guard position as opposed to getting handed to somebody. And I think Wiz has done that. He's taken that position. He's done it pass blocking and he's done it run blocking. Give this guy an opportunity. Okay, you think he's a backup. Well, he's playing like a starter right now. So you say it's paid performance, he's definitely going out there and performing well, so it's time to pay that man with more reps.
I saw an interview with Brooks yesterday after the game talking about the offensive line and their ability to run the football, and he was almost kind of laughing like, we knew we could do this. You guys were the ones that were doubting us, and we've had Casey Joyner on before who said they can run the football. Is it almost that source of amusement to the O-line? Like, why did you ever doubt us? We knew what our abilities were.
Right. I think that's the big thing. They're like, all right, in order to run the ball, you must make a physical effort to run the ball. This offensive line, they're athletic. They're big. They're strong. Let them run a rock. And I don't think it's the case where, they took advantage because it's, one of the worst run defenses they've played against, the last 2 weeks. I think it's just they can just run the ball. We'll see this week against the Arizona Cardinals. I think they're right mid-pack, right around 10 or, in between 10 to 15 as far as stopping the run. I still think if you give them a chance to go out there and move some people off the line of scrimmage, they can run on them guys also. I hope it's one of those things where they only did that because these were the two worst ranked run defenses that, the league has. I want it to be something that this Eagles forms an identity with going out there and doing it.
Barrett's Breakdown, Barrett Brooks, NBC Sports Philadelphia. You see him on the Eagles postgame show every week. And, of course, Barrett, when you sat in a meeting room to get ready for a game, how much did that come up? Like, guys, this team's terrible against the run. That's what we got to do. Because it seems like in the media and the fans say, this team can't stop the run. And then you're like, why aren't they running the ball? Like, is that something that is brought up a lot when you guys have your meetings and you're sitting in those rooms that they say, guys, we know this team is weak against the run and we got to go after them?
No, I think as an offensive unit, the offensive line as a whole, even in the meeting rooms, we don't really care much about statistics. We just want to go out there and run the rock. It's you could think there's a lot of determining factors on how well you run the ball. And I think the biggest thing is offensive linemen want to run the ball. Sometimes, if it's muddy condition, you really want to run the ball. If it's cold outside, you really want to run the ball. You just want to go out there and hit somebody in the mouth as opposed to getting hit in the mouth when you're pass blocking and retreating. That's the worst feeling in the world to have somebody teeing off on you like that. So when you can go tee off on somebody, that becomes your identity. Our defensive linemen don't want to play that game. They want to tap out a little bit. And after a while, they get tired too. That's when you really have it on your side to go out there and really impose your will on guys. So we don't really get into that, this is the 32nd ranked run-stopping team, or they're better than these guys, or these guys can stop the run. They don't really care about that. We just want to run the rock.
How about the situation where you have a guy, Coach Stoutland, does he go to maybe Peterson and say, hey, look, I got a couple of designs on my front here that I think we can utilize in the run game? Like, does he help design plays or suggest – does the offensive line coach sometimes suggest plays to say, look, I got this kind of personnel up front that I think we could utilize?
Yeah, I think the most of the offensive line coach is usually the run coordinator, and they're usually the guys that really know what can help their offensive line play better, what plays are more suited to what they want to do against a defense, and he's usually the guy that implements that. He gives them suggestions to the offensive coordinator or the head coach. Say, hey, this is, I think, is what we should do. Whether it's power blocking when you double team the front side, pull a guard around, or you're running draw plays or lag draw plays. We can use the speed of the pass rushers and use that against them and run the ball that way. It really depends on the offensive line coach looking at it, and Coach Stoutland looked at it and say, all right, this is what we can do against them. I knew that this team with the Chargers were a slanting team. They would void certain places on the offensive line and bring a linebacker there to fill. So they ran more outside to try to counter that. So the first half, they ran more outside. But then the second half came, they changed it up. The Chargers changed it up. They started doing a lot more man on in front of them. So what do you do to combat that? Now you start double team. You start running in between the tackles. You start running downhill. So then the Eagles adjusted, started doing that. And that's when LeGarrette Blount took over and started pounding the ball in between the tackles as opposed to trying to run outside. So, number one, they had the better game plan going in against that defense in the first half going into the game. But then, number two, they made the adjustments in the second half after the Chargers made the adjustments. made those adjustments and really started running the rock and pounding the rock because they weren't moving. They were sitting right in front of them. They could take advantage then of going in between the tackles.
Barrett Brooks on with us for Barrett's Breakdowns and talking about Blount and maybe also the blocking from Zach Ertz. Barrett, let's talk about that. What about the blocking from Zach Ertz we're talking about, not Brent Selleck? And Zach Ertz said after the game, hey, that's a play, the 68-yard run by Blount, which he had a key block on. Ertz admitted after the game a couple of years ago, I probably would have been on the field for a play like that, and there he is delivering the key block.
Well, he's become a more complete tight end, and he understood the only thing that was keeping him back from being a great tight end is his run blocking. He wants to be a great player, so he's been working on it. He's going to guys like Jason Peters and Lane Johnson asking, well, how can I execute this block? You'll see him all the time talking to those guys about, if this look comes up, what are we going to do about this? That's just his maturation is becoming one of the better tight ends in the league, and it's only going to help him get better. So, my hat's off to him. He couldn't do that last year. We're not talking about this before. We're talking about just last year. He couldn't cut off anybody to save his life, but now he's understanding in order for him to be great and his team to go further, he's going to have to do his part in blocking on the backside and at the point of attack.
It really adds to the offense that they don't have to take him off the field, though, because in years past, you'd have to get him off the field and maybe put Selleck in, and that might give away. Now with Ertz out there, if he can continue to block, that little detail adds a dimension to the offense.
Absolutely. Those simple run keys like that, defensive coordinators see that. Offensive coordinators see that, and they say, all right, well, Zach, you got to make sure that you can make these blocks, because if you don't, we take you out. The defense automatically knows that we're going to run the ball when you leave out the game, and when you come in the game, we're going to pass. So you got to do better on your side and play better during the run plays, and that's exactly what happens. You can't get that key from them anymore. So offensive coordinator and head coach, when they're calling plays now, have the autonomy to call whatever they want because he can now go in and execute blocks like somebody like Selleck.
Barrett Brooks with us. Are you surprised, Barrett, that Doug has been giving Corey Clement a couple of carries, third and short, late in the fourth quarter? They're going to the kid.
You got Blount, you got
there's
Smaller, and they're giving it to the rookie.
Right, but he's getting in there.
You know what? I think it has a lot less to do with Coach saying, Doug Peterson saying he can go in there. I think the real thing is Deuce Staley, taking him on as a pet project. Him making the team, first of all, is all because of Deuce took him under his wing and really started developing his running style, teaching him how to really run as an NFL runner, and also how to play this game as far as blocking. He's going to be instrumental in their development to taking it to that next level because he's a multi-purpose back. He's that three-down back they've been looking for. He's fast. He's explosive. He can hit the hole. He can run outside. He can pound it in the middle. He's got the size to pound it in the middle. So I think Deuce really understood what this kid brought to the table, took him under his wing, and then really, really starting to show him what he could be as a player. When he was at Wisconsin, he really wasn't the same player that you see now. He was totally different. If you look at his running style now, he's shortening his step footwork up. He understands that he has to block a lot better, and he also catching the ball off the backfield. That's all because Deuce trusts him. Since Deuce trusts him, the head coach is going to trust him.
Barrett's Breakdown with us here on the Sports Bash. Barrett Brooks, of course, Super Bowl champion with the Pittsburgh Steelers, played with the Philadelphia Eagles, part of NBC Sports Philadelphia's Eagles coverage. And Barrett,
that's the new one.
That's right. Starts today. NBC Sports Philadelphia.
Whole new wardrobe.
You got new shirts?
Yep.
Are you going to send me your old wardrobe now?
You got it, bro.
Maybe Pete will fit into that.
Yeah, send it to me, Barrett.
You guys are a little bit bigger.
My size.
Yeah, man. Hey,
it'll be a dress on you too, bro.
I want to get your take though on the defense, and it is there's a lot of injuries. Fletcher being out, I thought them persevering without Fletcher yesterday. That's a big sign about the depth and just where this team is, because they probably lose this game last year with all the injuries and losing a guy like Fletcher Cox and Ron Darby and having them guys out. It probably catches up to them, but they figured out a way to do it. So that defense yesterday, holding on for dear life but getting it done.
Well, that's the biggest thing right there. Next man up, but they would have lost that game, no question, last year. They probably would have lost the Giants game also last year. They've learned how to win, or learning how to win close games. They're learning how to win, period. So that's something that it's a process.
And what's that? Well, let me ask you though. What's that like? Like you played in Philly on Ray's team that was what 3-13. You played on teams that weren't very good, and then you're on a team like Pittsburgh. You win a Super Bowl. Is it just flat out noticeable the difference of the mentality or the aura in that locker room when a team knows how to win as opposed to does not? Because you're all professionals. You probably think you can win every single game you're going to play. But what is that tipping point of the mentality of you guys?
Well, basically with me, it all came down to practice. And that's really the biggest thing in practice. In practice, you felt as though you're going against the best players in the NFL. And that's what I felt when I was a Steeler. I figured if after practicing the whole week against our defense, we played against the best defense in the league. So going in and playing somebody else on Sunday was like a cakewalk because we already put in the reps against the best team. Now we're going against somebody that's not even the best. And I think that's the mentality that this team is starting to develop. They understand that this offense with Carson Wentz, there's not going to be many quarterbacks that are going to be better than him. So they're thinking, all right, if we can stop Carson in practice, the defense, they can stop Carson in practice, we can stop anybody. If we can stop LeGarrette Blount from coming downhill and making a play with him, then we can do it. Look at Alshon. If DBs can cover Alshon every day in practice, why can't I go out and play against the better upper echelon receivers in the NFL? That's the biggest thing. Once you have that demeanor, like, all right, we're practicing against the best. Now when we go against what you so-called best on Sunday, has nothing that could really even hold us, with the guys we've already practiced against. So that's the biggest thing. They see the quality of talent in practice in their own locker room, and when it goes to going to play against somebody else, it's just hands and feet above what we've already went against.
Barrett, we've spent so much time talking about the offensive line and Zach Ertz and different guys on the defense and what they contributed. Eagles might not have won this game without Jake Elliott, his 4 field goals. I mean, last week he's the talk of the town for a 61-yard field goal, and rightly so, but the effort he put through yesterday can't be overlooked.
In other words, he wants to know if Sturgis has a real estate agent.
Well, they might be shipping him out to not San Diego. I was about to say I said San Diego. They're about to ship him out to L.A. Maybe they can swap or something,
Buck in the box, Barrett.
Right. But I'm just saying, this kid has went out there, performed well, and plus he's still scared to death. He's terrified that Jason Peters might come up and tell him, don't miss any more again. So anytime somebody, like Jason Peters say, hey, don't miss another one, you tend not to miss another one. You tend to listen to him. But, he did a phenomenal job coming in, and the coaches trust him. And we're not talking about chip shots. We're not talking about 30-yard field goals or maybe 25-yard field goals. We're talking about 50, 45, 47. These are long field goals that this rookie has come in and really played. I'm sitting back and thinking about, Cincinnati and what they were thinking about trying to sneak him on the practice squad, not knowing, that, a lot of teams in the league need quarterbacks.
Yeah, Fippen had his eye on him. Fippen had his eye on him for a long time and was the guy he actually thought about drafting him. Then when the Cincinnati drafted him, but then he kept his eye on him, saw that they put him there, and he said, let's go get that guy.
Right. Fippen, Fippen, one of the better upper echelon special teams coach in the league, period. But once he had that opportunity, and it just so happened, that, our guy got hurt, I mean, he's come in and it really established himself as being somebody that might be here for a while. So, he keeps kicking the way he's kicking. It'll be hard to get him out of here.
Yep, and last year the Eagles were 3-1. They had a real impressive win against Pittsburgh. They're 3-1 again now at the quarter pole. Why is this team different, Barrett?
The whole demeanor on how they approach the game. Players, of course, there's an upgrade with players. With the receiving core that we have, it's definitely an upgrade. But it's also a sense of who they believe they are. They believe in each other. They believe in that they're a team that's pretty good. So if they believe in that, what's stopping them? Last year, I think it was all a kind of a, I hope we can do this. I hope we can do that. We have to see where we are. We don't know where we are. Now you can hear the confidence in what's in. Just like the offensive line saying, we can run the ball. Well, I think, they literally can't run the ball with the talent that they have on the offensive line. There are upgrades as far as players here, but I think the biggest thing is the attitude that these players have. They really and truly think, and they don't care about anybody outside that locker room, that they are going to win now. They're not building for next year. They're building for now.
Of the new players, there's a lot of new guys. Which one do you think has had the biggest impact?
Oh, the biggest impact?
Yeah.
Wow, that's really kind of tough. But I mean, I would have to go with Timmy Jernigan. I mean, he's made an instant impact on that defensive line. You know, he played very, very well yesterday, and you know, I can't wait when Fletcher comes back and get him. And now you have to really think about who you're going to double team now, who you're going to slide to, because each one of them plays so well that, you know, you pick one guy, the other guy goes off. So, you know, it's going to be hard for offensive coordinators to really game plan a guy like Jernigan and Cox at the same time. But I would have to say Timmy Jernigan, he's definitely made an instant impact since he's been here.
All right, Barrett Brooks, of course, NBC Sports Philadelphia, newly branded. Check out their Eagles postgame with Barrett, Michael, Seth, and Ray, of course, after every Eagles game on NBC Sports Philadelphia, and listen in after every Eagles game for Barrett's breakdown here on the Sports Bash. BB, we'll talk to you next week, pal.
Thanks a lot, guys.